homes out of metal buildings and pole barns. And I was a builder for many years. I did design, build, and homes, commercial projects, you name it, all the way from little bitty projects all the way up to about 13, $14 million. So one thing I've noticed is that these projects can be real economical, and there's pros and cons to each type of building. As far as like if you're doing a weld up metal building, which is basically where you're going to go to a metal building company that sells basically the parts, and maybe they'll sell you a roof truss system that's already welded up. But for the most part, I live in Oklahoma, and there's a company close by. It's a great company. They will sell you a 4 and 12 roof truss that comes out in two pieces. You have to weld it down the center and weld the two pieces together to make the complete span across the house. But then pretty much all the posts and the cross members and all that sort of thing are all just sold to you as 3-inch square tubing, and then you hire a welder to fabricate everything and weld it up for you, pour a foundation, and erect a building, put the metal sheeting on, all that good stuff. So anyway, there's just a lot of good qualities to it, but the downside is, especially with the weld up metal buildings, there is some situations to where you're going to have to retrofit wood into the structure to get it to work. And so sometimes that doesn't save you a whole lot of money, just because you're basically building a house within a house. And so you just have to run the numbers and really look at everything in that situation. My personal preference is a pole barn for a smallish to intermediate size house. I would say anything up to 2,500 square feet or so, but pole barns are really, really nice. This is right here what we're looking at. This is a recent project, a really sweet family that in Oklahoma that had a daughter that was handicapped, and she's in an electric scooter, as my wife. My wife has cerebral palsy, but fortunately she can get around on canes, and so she only uses her scooter to to go any kind of distance really. So anyway, we created a floor plan with a complete ADA accessibility throughout the entire house. So all the doors are 3-foot minimum. Doors into this large ADA restroom are 3 foot with a 5-foot turning radius, which is basically like you would design a commercial restroom. That's what you're doing, which I did for years. And so even the hall bath is larger. One thing I noticed about doing ADA floor plans, people's homes that want to make them, wheelchair accessible, you do have to plan on adding about 10 to 15% to your square footage, because the bottom line is you're just making everything bigger. So the doors have to be bigger, so therefore they take up more room. The bathrooms have to be larger, and that sort of thing. So just bear that in mind when you're thinking about building a house for ADA purposes. Maybe you have an elderly parent or child that just needs some special needs and needs to be able to get around. One thing as far as ADA, while we're on the subject, some things you need to consider. In this particular house, what we did is hold on, let me kind of zoom out here. We'll go into the garage here. One thing we did is that they wanted a large garage, so they have an accessibility van, one of those vans with the ramp that comes out and that sort of thing, and she can roll out of that. So the way I designed this was to basically make the entire garage floor like a giant handicap ramp. And so once they pull into this space, when she gets out, from about this point on, this entire part of the slab is level with the existing home, which in a normal garage, this could drop down as much as 5 to 12 inches the garage floor, and then you'd have a step right here. So in this situation, this entire part of the floor, when she rolls up this ramp and then levels off, it just goes right into, without any problem, right into the laundry room there, and then we install handicap thresholds in those areas. And so anyway, that's just something to bear in mind. One thing is turning radius. You want to be sure there's plenty of room to maneuver and turn and make the corners. That's a really big deal. Um, let's see here. Every room in this house is pretty much designed for a pretty large electric scooter to get around. So there'll be hard floor everywhere. There won't be any carpet. The restroom, excuse me, her main bathroom, and she shares there's a bedroom over here for another little girl, but this is a curbless entry into a large shower. You can see the shower is basically 4 foot by it's like 4 by 7, so it's really large. And so, there's no curve here, so you can just roll right into the shower if you're in like a shower chair or anything like that. So that's really important. And then everything else I tried to move to the exterior, like the mechanical rooms open to the outside, so those doors are not opening into the house, that sort of thing. But anyway, one thing, this is a pretty large home. It's like 3,500 square foot, heated and cooled, and they're building it out on quite a bit of land, so they had all the room they wanted, really. But just kind of wanted to show you what there's, as far as exterior, like this could be technically a pole barn or a metal building, but this particular couple is leaning more toward doing a metal building. So that's the way we kind of set all this up. So as you can see, the one thing you got to keep in mind when you're designing, you want to build something with either a metal building or pole barn, is you're going to be kind of limited in the geometry of the roof. So if you start doing anything crazy with the roof, like gables and pop out dormers and stuff, it's going to get expensive. So you just bear that in mind. The simpler the better if you're more concerned about getting the maximum amount of footage and you want to save money. Just keep your roof structure simple. Just basically straight, gable ends, no hips. Hip is where, like from this corner, this roof would be cut back at an angle, like on a normal house, maybe cut back in this direction. So anyway, just bear that in mind. These are great structures. Here we show to where basically, you got your sheeting panel here, and then you can change the color up, roughly 36 to 42 inches here. So kind of give it a nice visual break. You can also ask your builder, your contractor, to maybe you want to do a brick wainscot down along the bottom like that, or you want to brick the front of the house, you can do that. So you can still have the sheeting on there. You can just be sure that the concrete footings are available to set your brick on down here. You can just brick it up and then transition right here on up to the roof. So this is kind of the front of the house. And then here's the back. Give it just a minute. A little slow poke here. So let's see. Where'd it go? So this is a nice, fairly nice back porch. Nothing's too spectacular. So once again, a little brick or rock around this house makes a huge difference if you can swing it in your budget. And it's you can even do, like if you do rock, it's real popular now. You can screw a on this lower panel, you can screw a cement board on here, and then you just literally just stick your rock right on. You can buy that fake stone and just stick right on, which is really, really nice. And you don't have to have this big extra footing, pour all that extra concrete. So that's a nice feature. And so anyway, here's just kind of, for those of you guys thinking about pole barn, metal building, great idea. Just have to be aware of the limitations of it. There's some downsides. Aesthetically, it's not always the greatest. I mean, you're basically still working with a metal structure in some form or fashion, even if it's a wood pole barn where you're using 6x6 posts, and you still got more or less you got metal sheeting, or for the most part, on the exterior and the roof. So if you're okay with that, it's pretty awesome. You can build these things quite a bit cheaper than a normal house. So just something to think in mind. Thank you.